Close your eyes and picture this. It's 1985. You're sitting 3 feet from a wood-paneled television set, and suddenly that drum beat hits. Then the guitar riff. Then Lion-O raises the Sword of Omens to the sky and screams, "Thunder! Thunder! Thundercats! Ho!" And even now, decades later, just reading those words probably sent a little electric charge down your spine. Here's what's weird though. If you actually go back and watch that opening now, it's objectively absurd. The animation is stilted. The hair is impossible. The premise makes no sense. And yet, that feeling hits just as hard as it did when you were 7 years old. Why does a 30-second cartoon intro from 40 years ago still have a physical grip on your nervous system? Thundercats premiered in 1985, right in the sweet spot of what we now call the golden age of Saturday morning cartoons. But it wasn't just another show. It was one of the first American animated series designed specifically to sell toys, while also attempting something genuinely ambitious with its storytelling. Weird alien cat warriors with actual character arcs and mythology. A blend of science fiction and sword and sorcery that somehow worked. But here's what really mattered. If you were between 5 and 12 years old in the mid-80s, you were watching Thundercats during a very specific window of brain development. Your prefrontal cortex was still forming. Your sense of identity was barely sketched out. And your brain was in what neuroscientists call a critical period for emotional and social learning. You weren't just watching a cartoon. You were encoding your first experiences of heroism, friendship, good versus evil. Your brain was literally wiring itself using Thundercats as scaffolding. Every time Lion-O yelled that battle cry, your neurons were firing and connecting in patterns that would last the rest of your life. And that opening sequence? That was the gateway. The promise. 30 seconds of pure distilled excitement that told you something important is about to happen. So let's talk about what's actually happening in your brain when you hear that opening theme now. First, there's something called autobiographical memory consolidation. Between ages 5 and 12, your brain is creating what psychologists call your reminiscence bump. The period of life you'll remember most vividly forever. When you hear that Thundercats theme now, you're not just remembering the show. You're remembering the entire context of being that age. The texture of your parents' couch. The smell of Saturday morning cereal. The feeling of having nowhere to be and nothing to worry about. Your brain doesn't file memories in neat little folders. It tangles them together. So the Thundercats opening isn't just connected to the cartoon. It's connected to a time when your biggest problem was whether you'd get to play outside before dinner. But here's where it gets really interesting. That opening theme is designed, whether intentionally or accidentally, to trigger what's called a Frisson response. That's the scientific term for chills or goosebumps. And research shows that certain musical elements reliably cause frisson, sudden dynamic changes, unexpected harmonies, crescendos, and powerful vocal moments. The Thundercats theme has all of these. That driving guitar riff builds tension. Then Lion-O's scream releases it. Your nervous system responds the same way it did when you were a kid because the neurological pathways are already carved. It's like muscle memory, but for emotion. There's also something darker happening here though. Something we don't talk about enough. That goosebump response? It's not pure joy. If you pay close attention to what you're feeling, there's something melancholic underneath it. Almost painful. What you're experiencing is called nostalgia-related mixed affect. A bittersweet emotional cocktail where pleasure and loss are completely intertwined. You can never go back to being 7 years old. You can never experience Thundercats the way you did the first time. Every person you watched it with, parents, siblings, friends, they've all changed or disappeared or aged. That world is gone. And some part of your brain knows this. The goosebumps aren't just from excitement. They're from grief. This is why nostalgia is so seductive and so dangerous. It lets you time travel, but only as a ghost. You can observe your past, but never touch it. And the more you indulge in nostalgic media, the more you're training your brain to prefer memory over presence. You're literally choosing to feel something that's already gone rather than building new experiences that might become tomorrow's cherished memories. The meaning, 4:30 is 6:30. So what do we do with this? Should we just stop watching old cartoon openings? Throw away our nostalgic touchstones? No. Because here's the reframe that changes everything. That Thundercats opening isn't valuable because it takes you back. It's valuable because it proves you were shaped by something beautiful and exciting and heroic. When you were a kid, you chose to care about stories where courage mattered, where friendship was real, where standing up for what's right wasn't corny. The goosebumps aren't just about missing the past. They're about recognizing who you've always been. Think about it. You're not getting chills because the animation is excellent. It's not. You're not getting chills because the writing holds up. It mostly doesn't. You're getting chills because that opening sequence connects to something true inside you. A part of yourself that believed in transformation and bravery and magic before the world taught you to be more cynical. And that part is still there. Still alive. The Goosebumps are proof. The trick is learning to feel nostalgia without getting trapped in it. To let these old touchstones remind you of your values without convincing you that everything meaningful already happened. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. If Thundercats was the peak of human storytelling, we're all in trouble. But if Thundercats was just the first time you felt something worth remembering, then you can feel that way again. You just have to be present enough to notice when it happens. The next time you hear that opening theme, pay attention to the full spectrum of what you're feeling. The joy and the ache, the excitement and the loss. Don't push any of it away. Because those goosebumps aren't coming from 1985. They're not coming from a television screen or a Saturday morning or even from Lion-O's voice echoing across Third Earth. They're coming from you. From the part of yourself that's been there all along, just waiting to be called forth. Thundercats, you.